Hello, this is Dennis Quilly here with a bevy of Misleading Ladies. Talent competitions in pubs all over the land during the 70s established the current drag circuit. David Raven, who was to create the hectoring Maisie Trolette, one of the Trolette sisters, was having a drink one night with a friend in the Cricketers at Battersea.
And I've been watching this guy and people getting up and singing, and I'd never done anything like that before in my life. And one particular time there was competitions, and they wanted everyone to be in costume and to do a particular, any song they would choose, which I think mine was Walking My Baby Back Home. And this was, well, Jimmy Court, who eventually we turned out to be the Trollettes, asked me to get up and sing with him the following week when we went down to the pub. And from that, the Trollettes took off because somebody backed out and the landlady said, "Oh, you were very good the other week. Why don't you go upstairs and find some of my clothes and just put these on and do something," which we did. And that is the actual origin of the Trollettes. And of me putting on a lady's, pinafore dress, if I remember correctly.
Dave Lynn also got started in a pub competition. It was at the Black Cap, and he was awarded his prize by Mrs. Shufflewick. Surprisingly, these days he still prefers working in pubs rather than theatres.
Yes, in a pub when I'm working, it's this really close, intimate atmosphere. They're very close to me. They can see my feelings, I can see their feelings, I can see the spots, and I certainly shall mention it. And people say, yes, it's safe in the theatre. It is, but there isn't that wonderful excitement. It's such a challenge because you know that these people haven't really paid to come in and see you. I mean, they're there because perhaps your name was on the board. Perhaps it's their favourite local pub. So there is this challenge. I find that turn on, because you don't know how it's going to work.
Exactly. You don't know what's going to happen. That's why if I go to a drag night in a pub, I like to stand at the back so that I don't get picked on.
I've had instances where they will ring up and say, "Oh, don't pick on me, but if you do, I'm wearing so-and-so," and they'll ring me up and tell me what they're wearing, and they'll say, "Oh, please don't pick on." And then I'd probably think, well, they probably mean that. And then when I finish the show, they'll come round and say, you didn't even speak to me, you didn't send me up at all.
But Mark's never actually discovered the Trollettes, you know. Just like I discovered a young girl who's doing a show very, very soon here at the Pavilion called Dave Lynn. And he's got a night out tonight, and he thought that with the lights in my eyes, as he walked in just now, that I didn't see him. But Maisie doesn't miss a thing, does she? Hold on, what's that? You couldn't get a rose?
Well, they were so dear, darling.
I'll speak to thee. You could not what?
I couldn't get a rose, darling. I've got you a pineapple instead.
A pineapple? What is going to do with a pineapple?
No, darling, in Germany, that is a love symbol.
In Germany, a pineapple
is a love symbol? If you saw cabaret, you'll see it's a love symbol.
Oh, yes, cabaret, yes.
Of course it is.
A pineapple and me, if you want my diamonds, if you want my pearls, if you want the sweet things that they give to young, attractive girls.
I was working in a pub in Brighton, and there was a table on the right-hand side of me, and they were desperately, especially a girl in it, desperately not trying to enjoy themselves. And it was coming over in waves, and I thought, well, the best thing with this is to really work above them to the people behind who were. And after a while, I noticed that a couple on their table started grimacing, and so they were kind of going for it. And so we got through the show, and just towards the end, there was a shout for more. So I said, well, you've been a lovely audience, what would you like? And the girl on this table said, I'd like you to F off. And so I asked her, so I realised that this was going to be the comeuppance. I asked her why, and she commented that I made a comment during the show that she found offensive. And I said, well, yeah, but I'm also not really a woman. The whole thing is a joke. The reason we're here is to have fun. And forget about all these political things that you see and hear about every day. The idea of coming into this pub to have a drink and forget about it, and I'm here to try and help you. I said, I think you came in with that attitude, and you've had the attitude the whole way through, and I don't think you should be here. And really, I think it would be best for both of us if you left. And she did. She left the pub and then sent two of her friends in to beat me up. But they didn't say that. I just asked them if she'd done that, and they nodded. And I said, if I make you laugh before I leave the stage, will you not beat me up? And they said yes, and I did. And so it ended up very nicely.